when solving absolute value equations, the absolute value itself, those bars, that expression inside there represents the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. That's what absolute value is, distance. So since absolute value is a distance, the result of finding the absolute value is either going to be 0 or a positive number. If you're -3 spaces to the left of 0 or +3 spaces to the right of 0, you're still going to have to take 3 steps to get back to 0. Distance can't be negative. So that's why absolute value, that value inside there always has to be positive. So because the number inside there could be positive or negative, but it always equals a positive, you're always going to have 2 solutions unless it equals 0. So when we're solving these, so for your first example, 2x plus 3, absolute value of 2x plus 3 equals 7, that expression 2x plus 3 could be positive 7 or negative 7 for when you pull it out of there for it to be positive. So that's always going to be the first step, creating 2 equations. 2x plus 3 could be 7, or 2x plus 3 could equal -7. Whether it's positive or negative, when you pull it out, because it's absolute value, that's why it's going to be positive. But we have to solve for both instances. So then just solve both equations. So when you guys do this, it's not a matter of you solving one equation, getting an answer, and then just say you get 5, and then the second answer is going to be -5. It doesn't work that way. It's going to be the same steps. You're still going to subtract 3 from both equations. So these steps are going to be the same, but as you see, and then we'll divide by 2. I'm just doing them both at once just to show you guys. You don't end up with the same answer. It's not one is positive and one is negative. You're solving for one being positive and one being negative using the same steps, but you're not always just going to get the same answer, one positive, one negative. It doesn't work that way. So in this case, x could be positive 2 or -5. So for absolute value, you guys are always solving for 2 equations. So in your second example, 2 times the absolute value of 2x plus 13 equals 10. If the absolute value is not the only thing on the left-hand side of your equation, you have to get it by itself first. So this right here is the absolute value. So 2x plus 13 is what we want by itself. So since it's not yet, it's 2 times 2x plus 13. I know your mind is probably telling you to like distribute that 2 in there, but we leave the absolute value alone. We don't want to put anything inside there with it. So since it's 2 times, we're going to do the opposite and divide both sides by 2. And we end up with 2x plus 13 equals 5. So that will be our first equation. And then our second equation will be 2x plus 13 equals -5. And then we just solve them both. So we'll solve the first one. Subtract 13. 2x equals -8 if you divide by 2. X equals -4 for the first one. And then we'll solve the second one. So again, same steps, subtract 13. 2x equals negative 18 divided by 2. And the second equation, x equals negative 9. Same steps, but two different answers. Every once in a while, yes, you will get x equals 3, x equals negative 3, x equals 4, x equals negative 4. But as a rule, it doesn't work that way. So down here, it just sort of walks you guys through checking your answers, just like any other equation, to see if it's true. So note that while some x values of the solution are negative, the goal is to find the values that make the original absolute value statement true. So for the first one, x equals negative 5, if you plug in negative 5, you get negative 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is positive 7. So then it says verify that the two negative values in example 2 make the original equation true. So it's just asking you to understand that even though they're both negative, it's okay. It's not like you have to have a positive and a negative. So let's plug in negative 4. So 2 times the absolute value of 2 times negative 4 plus 13 equals 10. And then we also got negative 9 as one of our answers. So let's just check. So 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 13 is 5. So that absolute value of 5 just becomes 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So then if we also check negative 9, 2 times negative 9 is negative 9, or negative 18, plus 13 is negative 5. So we just simplify the absolute value part first. Well, the absolute value, or the distance, from negative 5 to 0 is still 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So there's no really way to say here, oh, well, it has to be a positive and negative, or they both need to be negative. There's just no consistency of being able to tell what kind of solution you should get. But just remember, you can always go back and check your work. But you should always be solving for two separate solutions within an absolute value equation.